T was December 1944. In the Ardennes, the trees rose like skeletal shadows beneath a sky heavy with snow. A bitter wind cut sideways through the forest, dragging flakes across the frozen ground. Inside an M10 Wolverine tank destroyer buried under camouflage netting, Private First Class Ray Thompson peered through a fogged periscope. His breaths were shallow. His gloved hands shook. Not from fear, but from the cold that seeped through metal, clothing, and bone. 800 yards ahead, a column of German armor wound its way through the trees. 12 tanks, mostly Panzer IVs, with a Tiger I in the lead. Half-tracks packed with infantry followed, then fuel trucks at the rear. They were heading toward a critical crossroads. If they reached it, supplies and reinforcements to the 101st Airborne in Bostonia would be severed. Thompson had no orders to fire. He was told only to watch, wait, and report, but he knew what was coming, so he made a choice. No command, no clearance. He pulled the trigger and everything changed. The rules. 3 days earlier, in a drafty farmhouse near the Belgian front, Thompson sat at a metal desk while his commanding officer briefed the 702nd Tank Destroyer Battalion. "No one fires without confirmation," the officer said. "I don't care what you see or how close they get. We do not reveal our position unless ordered." The men nodded, tension simmering. They all knew the Germans were on the move. The Battle of the Bulge had just begun. On December 16th, under fog and snowfall, the German army launched its final major offensive in the west. Operation Watch on the Rhine. Their aim: split the Allied line, seize Antwerp, and force a negotiated peace. More than 200,000 soldiers and over 1,000 tanks smashed into American positions with total surprise. Units vanished overnight. Lines collapsed. Confusion reigned, and commanders feared friendly fire as much as the enemy. So the order was simple: wait. For Thompson, that meant observation duty. He and his three-man crew were dug into a ridge above a forest road north of Naval, close enough to see the valley clearly, but officially forbidden to engage. Day and night he scanned the terrain. Through a frosted lens, he tracked tank trails, counted shattered pines, and sketched enemy movements in a notebook his mother had mailed him. He logged range, bearing, wind, everything, but held his fire. He once followed a lone Panzer for an hour, waiting for orders that never came. He was angry but disciplined. He knew a single wrong shot could kill Americans, or expose their position to a German battery. Still, as more enemy vehicles moved through the forest, he wondered, was holding fire truly safer? Thompson wasn't reckless. He was exact. He studied German armor like a mathematician studies equations: patterns, formations, weaknesses. He knew where to hit them if the moment ever arrived. He just didn't know he'd be the one to decide. Who Ray Thompson was. Raymond Charles Thompson wasn't born a soldier. He grew up on the flat plains of western Kansas, where winter winds stripped paint off barns and summer heat split wheat fields open. His father ran an engine repair shop. His mother taught 7th grade math. Ray grew up around gears, grease, and graph paper. Even as a child, he saw the world through angles. He could measure distance by shadows. While other kids made simple slingshots, he built ones with pulleys and counterweights for maximum accuracy. He didn't enlist for glory. He joined in 1942 because the Army offered training, pay, and a path to engineering. He got the training. The pay was meager. The future depended on surviving Europe. By Normandy at 22, he already looked older. His introduction to combat came in the hedgerows, where enemies could be 10 feet away, unseen until they fired. He watched friends die. One burned inside a half-track, another blown apart by a mine. After that, Ray no longer believed in luck or orders or safety. He believed in patterns. He studied tank behavior, turret rotation speed, and enemy routines. He carried a spiral notebook and filled it with sketches of German vehicles, their blind spots and vulnerabilities. He talked rarely. Soldiers called him the quiet clock. Precise, deliberate, timed to the second. He was a good gunner. Steady, calm, exact. But what no one fully realized was that he was also a thinker, a tactician who saw battlefields like chessboards. In 3 days, that quiet, angle-obsessed mind would rewrite the rules of engagement with one unauthorized burst of fire. What he saw that day on December 19th, fog hung low in the Ardennes, thick as smoke. Visibility was poor, sound warped, but through his periscope, Thompson saw it, the silhouette of a tiger eye, then more tanks behind it. A textbook German armored column, tight, disciplined, deadly. Tiger in front, Panzers next, then infantry, then fuel and supply vehicles. Even a self-propelled anti-aircraft gun at the rear. They were prepared for anything. Except one disobedient American gunner. The road was narrow, no room to spread out. The column was trapped inside a natural funnel. To Thompson, it wasn't a road. It was a killing zone, but he had no orders. Radio contact was nearly dead. Repositioning would expose him. Procedure demanded he wait for artillery or air support. But this wasn't a passing column. This was a dagger aimed directly at the American line. If they reached Naval, they would flank Bastogne and cut off the 101st Airborne completely. Waiting meant disaster. Thompson steadied his breath, adjusted elevation, and prepared for a decision no manual accounted for. The first defiant shot Ray Thompson had never fired without orders, not once, but staring at that exposed column he understood. Waiting was no longer caution, it was suicide. So he fired, not at the lead tank, but at the third. The round smashed into a Panzer IV and erupted in fire. The column screeched to a halt. He shifted positions slightly, denying the enemy a clear muzzle flash. His second shot hit the sixth vehicle, a half-track packed with infantry. Flames tore through the underbrush. Panic broke. Then he hit the eighth vehicle, a fuel truck. The explosion was volcanic. Fire lit the fog orange and black. The sequence wasn't random. It was a mathematical dismantling of German doctrine. Hit the third equals block the front. Hit the sixth equals jam the middle. Hit the eighth equals cripple the retreat. One man was tearing apart a column designed to punch through Allied lines. The Germans thought they were under attack by an entire American battery, but there was no battery, just Thompson. Destruction in the trees. The Ardennes erupted. Trees cracked. Fire roared. Snow turned black. Thompson kept moving. 10 yards here, 20 yards there. Confusing enemy gunners. Smoke, fog, and angles hid his trail. The German Tiger struggled to reverse, trapped between burning wrecks and jammed armor. When its turret finally turned, Thompson waited for the exact moment its flank was exposed. His next shot pierced it. The Tiger's turret blew skyward in a pillar of fire. German morale shattered. Anti-aircraft gunners fled. Infantry scattered. A few fired blindly into the trees, convinced an entire American ambush surrounded them. They were fighting ghosts. The German perspective hours later, captured officers insisted they'd been attacked by multiple American units. 6 guns, 8 guns, maybe more. Some swore they saw muzzle flashes from 3 angles. Others blamed mines, paratroopers, sabotage, anything but one tank destroyer. Fear filled the gaps logic couldn't. When American forces cleared the road, even veterans were shocked. Burned-out vehicles stacked like dominoes. Frozen bodies scattered. Trees splintered. Tracks twisted. Yet there were no American casualties, because there had only been one gunner. The survivors called it Digester Battery, the Ghost Battery. Disobedience or brilliance for 2 days, Thompson expected arrest. Back at headquarters, his commanding officer read his report in silence, flipping through sketches and firing diagrams with disbelief. If this had gone wrong, he said quietly, one bad shot could have killed our own men. Thompson didn't argue. I knew what I saw. The officer didn't reprimand him. Not yet. Get some rest. This has to go up the chain. Thompson returned to his crew. They waited for the consequences. But then scouts from the 101st Airborne arrived. They had expected to find that road crawling with German armor. Instead, they found a graveyard of burning steel and learned it had been cleared by one man who wasn't supposed to fire a shot.